So full disclaimer, I'm sorry for all the sniffling in this video. I'm still struggling with my allergies. As for the moving boxes, I'm slowly starting to unpack them and move back into my own house, which is a very weird... Yeah, so I will eventually get into a more stable setup, but for now this is just a disclaimer at the beginning of the video. Without further ado, let's get into the haul. Also, this is one of the guinea pigs. They're getting cleaned out tomorrow. It's a bit late at night for me to start fussing around with them. But we have Ish Bob and we have, well, he's Ish Bob. And then this is my baby Bitey. I did have a different name for him, but he ended up becoming called Bitey because if you put your fingers in the cage, he will nibble on them. So yeah. Bit of a late night video for me, but I figured it's been a long time since I did one of these videos. I've noticed when I go to the library, I don't always read the books that I get, and quite often will open a book and decide that I've changed my mind completely on whether I want to read it or not. But today we're going to look at the books that I currently have from the library. And we're up. Oh, that is not a bookmark. And we're also going to talk about the books that I have already finished that I got today, and books that were... I will do separate videos for some of these because I do want to do some book reviews again, because I've completely stopped doing them on this channel. But yeah, let's get on with my library haul. So first off, why I was looking for a... Hold on. Why I was looking for a bookmark, I did get 4 new ones. Where I put them, I have absolutely zero clue. We've got What's the Tea by Juno Dawson, and I thought this was by a different author, I will not lie. I picked up the wrong book, and so I've been slowly reading this, and this is just, it's been a slow read. It's been like 10 pages a night kind of thing for me because it's a lot to take on at once. But it dives, it's quite funny to me, is this, because it handles it handles a lot of the like more sensitive topics about being transgender, and the transgender experiences, and also being cisgender, or as like from a more comedic lens, which I do appreciate it, but unfortunately the comedy for me also makes this a lot harder for me to digest. But I'm currently on page 42 of... Oh dear, it's not even as big as I thought it were. $276. So that's my nighttime read, where I do like 10 pages or so. Then we've got this massive book. I'm not reading this whole thing. I will be reading it for what I need from it, and I will be putting tabs and notes on it on Goodreads, and that will be it. I actually got this book because I've been struggling with handling past events, trauma, and my epilepsy and brain fog. Because the doctors will not give me any advice or any help on how to live with mine. So I'm going to put that down. It is important to discuss mental health. It is also important to discuss doctors not helping us when we need the help. And I'm not entirely sure they've got the resources either, so we are now turning to self-help, because that noise you can hear in the background, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but that's my 2 guinea pigs. Now on to the more interesting stuff, which I'm sure you are all... in this bag at the moment, I've got books that I have just finished reading, and I've already put a review up. We've got Mayo Mayo, Mamau by Sas Millage, which I just picked up because the front cover looked interesting. I had no idea what this book was about, and honestly, the twist at the end... I struggle with books about lesbians, I gotta be honest. I feel like I always feel really bad reading them. It's the same when it comes to like straight fiction, because I'm a gay trans man, and I feel like I can't really explain that well, or the plot, or understand it that great, because I'm not. But I loved this from start to finish. I thought the art was absolutely, like, just look at this. Look at this. It is absolutely gorgeous from start to finish. I love the colour schemes. I love how it explores the character dynamics. It's grumpy and sunshine in terms of tropes, which I wasn't expecting either. I absolutely loved that. All in all, that's one of my more favourites that I've read so far. I've got Raven Cave. I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy this that much, but then I'm not the target audience, so I'm not too mad about that. This is more, basically, it's about a young boy who can see ghosts, and it's a tale of, like, a boy who's struggling with loss, grief, growing up, but now he can see ghosts, like, kind of like his mum can. And this is definitely for someone who's in high school, or, like, is a high level reader for primary school. But because it was Lancashire Book of the Year in 2024 shortlisted, I was like, you know what, there's a few copies of this at my library, so I'm going to borrow one. And I'll show you the text as well. I don't know if anyone remembers being in high school, but that takes me back. So that was, it's not the best I've read. I didn't particularly enjoy it, but it was good for a few minutes. Oh, a few minutes. It took me about an hour. That book took me about less than that, just under an hour. Very difficult. It wasn't too. It wasn't so much as a pacing issue. It's the way that is set out. I'm going to read for that a lot quicker than the books I would normally read. And then I recently discovered a series called Lumberjanes, which is an absolutely brilliant comical set of graphic novels that I can never fully wrap my head around. So these books, for those of you who don't know, if you're someone who likes wacky, wild, whimsical things that don't make sense, but in a weird way, it goes full circle and it does eventually explain itself. Don't try guessing what's going on, because it is very difficult to keep up, but I saw bits of so many, like, these books are about having a good time in a short time, and I am here for it. I recommend these books to anyone of any age. So it's Lumberjanes by Stevenson, Ellis, Waters, Allen, and Leho. Oh, okay, right, hold on. Just give me a quick second. So there are different artists that are working on these books, I think. And if you go to the back of these books, it will show you, like, different covers. And it does get confusing for me sometimes when I've been reading these books, because I expect one art style throughout, and it's never necessarily just that one art style. But it's also quite nice to have the many art styles. I like how... So which one is this one? We've got book 2. This one touches on some Greek mythology, which I thought was a neat touch to it, and I absolutely enjoyed. And then this one, A Terrible Plan. Goodness knows how it ended up being the way it was. This one fascinated me. I struggled to keep up with this. It wasn't necessarily a pacing issue for me, as a lot of comics usually are. This one I had to slow down for, but it was just so quirky, and I was like, oh. But the first book in the series I read was book 4, and then I accidentally read this book, which is book 3, and then I read book 2. Oh no, this is book 2, and this is book 3. But I had read them backwards, kind of, so it was kind of confusing to wrap my head around, because I'd read them in the wrong order, not realising there was an order to read them in, and not even realising it was a series. I thought it was a one comic that was the whole thing. So I was very excited to see that there were more, but it was only when I finished reading them that I realised they have numbers on them. So that's a little bit embarrassing. But I do recommend getting Lumberjanes, checking out your library, or even buying them. Like, I would buy these. I won't be doing now because I've got way too many books on my to-be-read list, but I'm hoping I can get the first book, which is the only one I've not read. This one, Wilder Girls by Rory Power, is one that's been on my to be read list, and basically it was a Goodreads recommendation after I finished Don't Let the Forest In. Now, it says they told us to wait and stay alive. I honestly have no idea what this book about, but according to an email I got when I finished reading Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews, I think, which I absolutely loved. This book was also loved by people who adored that book, and so far, Don't Let the Forest In was my favourite book of the year, so I'm hoping this will be on par with that, because I also want to read Botanical Daughter, which is, if I can find it, if not, I'm probably going to buy it, but at the top of my to-be read list is The Apothecary Diaries. They are coming first, and I'm very excited to be slowly working my way through them. But I have read so many short stories the past 2 months that I kind of want to focus on like the bulkier ones in my to-be read list. So I am going to be focusing when I go to the library rather than on the comic sections and the retellings of so many books. Now my goal is for this month, rather than ploughing through short stories and graphic novels and comics, I want to focus on my to be read list. So we're going to start back with the books that have been on there the longest, and I'm hoping to tackle my 30 books that I currently have that I have bought for myself and haven't read yet. So my goal is to I want to read at least 2 of those books by the end of this month. So we're in August now. I didn't read any of them in June, and I didn't read any of them in June, but I read some of them in July, so I need to be getting onto that. Just going to put that in a separate pile, because this pile here, these ones I've read, so they actually need to go back in my book bag. They're going back tomorrow, and I'm going to be I'm going to look at the online library to have a look and see which books on my to be read list are available at one of my 3 local libraries, and then that's the library I'm going to tomorrow. I've also got Twelfth Night. They've got quite a few books like this, which are like retellings of, but in like a graphic novel format of traditional classics. I just found the whole concept fascinating. They also had Othello, which I don't know, I can't remember much about it from when I was in high school, but apparently it's a gay retelling of Othello. But for this one, the front cover caught my eye more than Othello did, so I was like, I'm leaving that. I think I also got distracted by the next book I'm going to show you, but I want to read this 12th Night retelling. What I will say, I haven't got a physical copy of it, but there's a Librarian of Auschwitz, which I read last month, and I absolutely recommend that people check out the graphic novel version of. And I want to go back and I want to read the original novel that was wrote and that came from, because I enjoyed it so much. It was also really like it summarized it basically, but it was a really sad tale. But now I want to go and read the original book that inspired that graphic novel, because it was a beautiful but really sad and horroring tale, and it was also based on, unfortunately, on true life events. And I just think it's very important with everything going on in the world right now to be aware of how history repeats itself, but also the things that have happened in the past. So I am recommending anyone that watches this video, if you struggle with long books, to try and get the Librarian of Auschwitz, I hope I'm saying that right, the graphic novel, and if not, the novel. I've got it on my to be read list, the original novel. I haven't read it yet, but I just think it's important to raise awareness about these books and historical events, so check them out. And then the other thing is, I've seen a lot of stuff about the Dune books, but I'm not ready to tackle the Dune books because I'm very upset that I didn't get to go watch Dune in movies when they came out. I didn't have anyone to go with, which is why I did not go. There's a graphic novel. Frank Herbert's the graphic novel. Oh. I am returning this tomorrow. Never mind. This is book 2. I thought, I didn't realise this was part of a series. I thought this was a standalone book. yeah, that's going back because I'm gonna keep an eye out for book 1 first, because I have a bad habit of spoiling like how a series goes on, and when I don't read things chronologically, it takes me a moment. So that's my goal, to try and improve that. But yeah, that is my current library haul. And books I've read half of them already. I've just got this one to work through now. There's the reference that I'm using for the Brain Savers, and then there's the Wilder Girls, which I want to start tonight, but honestly, I still have Look Up Handsome from last month. I keep renewing this. I haven't even started it, but I do want to read it and make a review while it's available, ready for this to go up in like Christmas time, because I feel like that would just make sense rather than me reviewing it in the middle of the flipping year. I've had a few people say to me, why are you reading Christmas book romances in the middle of the year? To be quite frank, trying to get a hold of these in the winter months is impossible. It is just impossible. Get them while they're ready, review them, make a video, and it can go up in winter. Bit like backwards, but I do a lot of things backwards if we've learned anything while I've been doing these sorts of videos. But yeah, that's my current library haul. Books that there is one book that I am currently, so I had over 650 books on my to be read list. I can now confidently say that last month, I was able to get, I think I read like 70 of my to be read list, which is quite impressive for me. But it went from 650 down to, I don't know how many I would actually have cut off, because I also added a lot of books. But my to be read list has gone down from 650-ish to 599, which is still quite big. But to be at 599 does bring me a lot of joy. And one of the books that was on my to be read list, I know I'm not going to get at the library, Breathe. It's a book which is about chest banding. So I just bought it from Amazon. I'm hoping to as well. It doesn't look like my library's going to be getting the Chicken Coop one by Chloe Hortington, so I will also be looking at buying a physical copy of that for myself as well, because I really want to read her books, because she's not only does she do her own YouTube channel on here, and you should check her out, but she also is getting close to publishing her second book, which I can't remember what it's about. It's something to do with a metal rock band, I think. But I haven't even read her first book yet, and I feel really bad, and I feel like I'm behind. But she's one of the few people on BookTube who does actually talk to me and interact with me, which I really appreciate as someone who doesn't have anyone to really talk to about books and stuff. That's like kind of the whole reason I started this channel, to have people to talk to about books. But I also know my videos aren't particularly entertaining. It's just me babbling on about these things I've got. So I will eventually get into like a rhythm again, but it's just finding my rhythm, knowing what I want to talk about, and having more of a system in place because I feel like I just get behind a camera and talk about what I've got, because it's pure chaos, especially when I'm working through my brain fog. Plus I've just been binging books, like short stories, and just like posting rapid fire reviews for what I've read as I've read them. I've had a lot of paper to do lately with a lot of stuff though as well, so sorting everything out. I want to start reading bigger books again. I have been struggling as well lately, so this is one of my physical to be read that I bought. I wasn't gonna I still need to do a video of what I bought last month, but I have been struggling. With reading like books that I do find myself emotionally attached to, where I am reading like maybe 10 pages, because I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks to help me get through and by. But then I've also swapped to, because it's not really been the act of reading hasn't been as enjoyable for me lately, because I've not had anyone to talk to about books. No one knows what I'm going on about, so I'm trying to get back into it and read the things that I do love. But unfortunately, when I look up the books that I have been enjoying, no one's talking about them, and when they are talking about them, they don't like the same things that I do, which, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It would just be very nice to have someone to talk to about the books that I enjoy who also enjoyed them. But I haven't had that lately. I haven't had it in a long, long time. So I've been like really struggling with like my mood swings because I've had no one to talk to about what I like, because no one knows what I'm on about. But I'm back. We're gonna start posting videos again, and they will be what they will be. But that's it for this book haul video. I'm trying to keep it under 20 minutes. Still a little life update as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.